psychological component mentioned previously are, of course, also valid for universal trap, which is less popular in Italy, but followed in various countries of the world. In some ways, it can be considered easier, also because a certain number of clays in universal trap are taken a bit more for granted, thus easier. This makes the scores decidedly higher, so at psychological level, a specialist in universal trap knows that he cannot make a mistake during the event, and in my opinion, this makes the event become harder. What distinguishes the two disciplines is mainly the shooter's position on the stand and the layout of the shooting line, which, unlike Olympic trap, must vary for each stand, as there are 5 machines that cross in front of only one marker. For this reason, it can be more complex finding the right position for every throw. Now let's take a look at the shooter's position on the stands for universal trap. Meanwhile, I ought to say that the stands are in a more central position compared with Olympic trap. So the shooter will have to stay as far to the center of the stand as possible. Now, let's see what Paolo does. As you can see, he puts his feet in the right side, exactly near the center, and then he moves to the aiming line on machine 1. Why machine 1? The universal trap has 5 machines available. This means that when the shooter gets into position, he has to expect one of the 5 clays thrown from the machines. Hence, the thing to do is analyze where machine 1 releases, thus its direction and the direction of machine 5, which are the 2 outer machines that create a crossing, and then try to find a position with the feet, body and gun that is symmetrical in relation to the 2 side positions. So the position of the feet in the first stand will be in the right-hand side of the stand, and the alignment on the first of the orange markers we have placed to show the position of the machine of reference. The oval identifies the catch point, where the shooter ought to look before calling the pull. The position of number 2 is always at the right, and the corresponding alignment is above marker number 2. Remember that during the competition these markers won't be there, so the shooter will have to study them personally. The position of the feet for number 3 is central, and naturally alignment is on the real marker, the white one, and alignment is above it. For position 4, the feet are set to the left of the stand. The catch position is above marker number 4. On the other hand, for stand 5, the feet face further still to the left, therefore symmetrical in relation to the cone, and the focal point is above marker number 5. The 5 trajectories that appear in front of the shooter produce a crossing point that we see here detailed by the oval, where it is seen that all the trajectories pass inside this area. Therefore, the shooter must control these 5 trajectories and study his own optimum focal point. The 2 most important aspects of universal trap will be the position of the feet in the stand, which will clearly change depending on the stand occupied, and alignment of the gun on the trap, which will be moved to the left for stands 1 and 2, and to the right for stands 4 and 5. With regard to athletic, technical and psychological preparation, nothing varies from the preparation for Olympic trap. Another difference from Olympic trap is given by the firing time, namely the time that elapses between the pull and the first shot. While we have said that in Olympic trap perfection is reached when the firing time is constant and more or less always the same, in universal trap this is not always true. On the contrary, for the target shot at with a bigger angle, namely from stand 1 and 2 at the left and from 4 and 5 at the right, we see that depending on the angle, they need a firing time that is a bit longer, because otherwise it is not possible to reach and anticipate the target correctly. This involves a variability of the firing time. There are targets which, as the clay is slower and has a smaller angle, they are shot at with a fairly quick firing time. But we have to be careful not to use the same firing time when the angle becomes too large, for example, when shooting at 45 degrees from the first stand. In this case, more rotation is needed, hence the firing time should be higher, longer. Guns and ammunition can also be those used in Olympic trap, but a universal trap specialist ought to use a gun with slightly wider barrels because the target is hit at a shorter distance. The best type of ammunition are those with smaller pellets, number 8 for example.